Hello everybody, this is the Almighty DF, and I'm going to be talking about a video that I was trying to do since last year, like 2017, and I was procrastinating on it. I think just in general, I'll be honest, making YouTube videos this year was not good. I really was procrastinating. I had a lot of great ideas, but for some reason I just didn't feel the motivation to do them at all. But I'm really hoping next year and a little late on this year that I will try. So this is a video that like I said, I've been trying to make since like 2017, but never got around to it, and I had to like rework some things, put things here and there, all that type of stuff. So here, this is a video that I want to talk about. This is animated series that should have movies. Animated films based on cartoons were pretty popular. Like, they were, back in the day, they were just everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Whether it was theatrical, television, or even direct-to-video, you couldn't escape these animated films. And it all started with the success of one Nicktoon. In 1998, Nickelodeon released the Rugrats movie. Not only that this was the first Nickelodeon animated film, as well as being the first Nicktoons film, it was also the first non-Disney animated film to gross over $100 million, which it grossed $140 million. And it was at the time the highest grossing film based on a cartoon, until the Simpsons movie surpassed it in 2007. And because of the success of the Rugrats movie, many other television networks wanted to release their cartoons onto the big screen. Some were winners like the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the Simpsons movie, and South Park Burger Longer and Uncut, while some were just bombs, like Hey Arnold the movie, the Powerpuff Girls movie, and Teacher's Pet. This was also an era where 2D animation wasn't really doing well, like, worldwide. Like, studios like DreamWorks and Disney, gave up on these mediums. And the last film from Disney that was 2D at the time was Home on the Range. And then 5 years later, The Princess and the Frog. And then 2 years later, Winnie the Pooh. And DreamWorks was like 15 years ago with Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas, with Jeffrey Katzenberg saying that 2D animation is like somewhat dying. And that's when CGI started to become very popular and more successful than 2D. Well, in the 2010s, we're somewhat slowly starting to get like a comeback for major 2D animated films. Well, because most of them are just based on cartoons. Like, in 2015, we've gotten the SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water. Though it did have CGI, it was mostly, as Pyga Rule stated, it was 60% 2D, while 40% CGI. And then in 2017, we got My Little Pony, the movie. And then, like, this year, we've gotten Teen Titans Go to the movies. So it's slowly starting to build up, and we're even getting like more films coming out that's been announced, like the Loud House movie and Bob's Burgers the movie. So basically, this era is somewhat coming back to us, and I decided that I want to do a video on this. I want to make a list of cartoons that, in my opinion, that should get either a feature film, a television film, or even a film that's like direct to DVD. So some of these cartoons I included on the list will, basically be like popular or underrated, or someone needs a comeback. So you'll see some cartoons that you may know and somewhat not really know. So without further ado, guys, let's get started with some honorable mentions. Before we really get into the list, here's how this format is going to go off. So on the left side, you'll see that there's going to be like the poster for the animated show. And on the right side is the info box that I made. Like the movie idea, like the title of it, what's going to be, like my plot synopsis, as well as like the type of movie it's going to be, whether like the format, like theatrical, direct-to-video, or television, like its proper running time, what is my preferred voice cast, and the production companies that will be like in charge of the film. So let's really get started with the honorable mentions. So the first honorable mention is SpongeBob SquarePants, and yes, I know SpongeBob in general should not be on this list. The series has already had 2 theatrical films, and with a third one coming on in 2020. But I'm mostly talking about television films, because if you really think about it, SpongeBob's experience with television films has been bad. Atlantis Square Panics was panned because of the songs, live action segments, and overall being a poor imitation of Willy Wonka. And Truth or Square was also panned for not really being much of a 10th anniversary special of the series. So my idea for a television film based on SpongeBob will be like based on time travel. And the series has done absolutely pretty well with time travel. There was like episodes such as Back to the Past and the incredible SB-129. So this television film would be about SpongeBob and Patrick basically being lost in time while somewhat meeting their ancestors, and while they don't know that Plankton is somewhat following their every move by joining forces with his ancestors. So think of it somewhat like Sonic Generations in that way. And like I said, this will be more of a television movie because, like, personally, like, time travel with theatrical SpongeBob films, well, in the second one, it was a little complicated and trippy at the same time. But I personally think that, like, this will be a much better television film compared to Atlantis and Truth or Square. Next comes South Park, and South Park in general, like, I think they were one of the best cartoons to have a movie adaptation, with that being bigger, longer, and uncut, with the animation, characters, and especially the musical numbers, and how, like, the message of, like, you know, like, how parents are somewhat, like, you know, trying to help their children, but in general not really. That was a really great message, and the film itself is awesome. So, when it comes to, like, a television film, I'm actually down for that as well. That would be another great idea. In ways, we sort of did get the first one with Imagination Land, but that was technically 3 episodes from season 11 strapped into one movie. I'm talking about an actual television film. Like, you know, like an adventure one. Like how my plot for one would be about the boys finding, like, some sort of treasure map, or some map in general, that they would travel to unseen places in their small little mountain town. And I would love to see some musical quips in this type of television movie, as well as get some character development from the boys that we haven't seen before in the show, even they've been going on for about 22 seasons. So yeah, South Park Secrets Revealed, maybe. Now, my last honorable mention would be on Tom and Jerry, and boy, I have a lot to say about this. So, Tom and Jerry, if you guys don't know, it's one of my favorite cartoons of all time, if not my second favorite cartoon of all time, like, behind SpongeBob. I love this show. I love the shorts in general. And I personally do not like what Warner Brothers has been doing with the duo, like, as of recently. They've been putting them into, like, stories that has already been told perfectly. Like, we don't need to see Tom and Jerry in The Wizard of Oz, Sherlock Holmes, and especially Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, seriously, what was that all about? But I would honestly want to see a Tom and Jerry movie, like, going back to the roots, back to, like, what they were doing best, like being the ultimate cat and mouse duo. And while you see it on the title, I don't really have an idea what that would be about, but I would honestly want to see a Tom and Jerry movie going back to their roots and having the archival recordings of William Hanna, like, voicing those characters. And seeing, like, what they're doing with it for the Tom and Jerry show, I would want to see something similar to that, but in a movie form, mostly direct to DVD, since that's what Tom and Jerry has been mostly doing as of recently. And I don't know how I would feel about the live action film, still having second thoughts about that, because previous experiences with Hanna-Barbera live action adaptations has been bad, especially Scooby-Doo and Yogi Bear. Whether you love or hate Nickelodeon nowadays, you can give them credit for, like, giving a damn about their old properties, of reviving them as, like, movies, or even reboots, in a good way. And they've been doing it with Hey Arnold, and now recently with Rocco and Invader Zim. And I personally think that Ren and Stimpy should also get that treatment. But unfortunately, I have a feeling it's not really gonna happen. Because ever since Adult Party Cartoon, it basically butchered the reputation of this duo, of this classic duo. And hell, even Nickelodeon doesn't even want to do anything with them. There was actually a proposed short that was gonna be paired with the third SpongeBob movie, but it never happened. And even Bob Camp, One of the people who worked on the original show wants Ren and Stimpy to be revived, but Paramount is saying no on that. But I personally think that a movie would honestly do justice for the show. It would honestly would. And in my opinion, it'll be kind of like similar to the 2011 Muppets, being more like a parody, like after the failure of this project. It's like Ren and Stimpy, like, try to like make a comeback, like try to like, show why people love their original show, not adult party cartoon. And getting the help from some of their friends like Mr. Horse, Mighty Mud Skipper, Log, and even Powder Toast Man. And I've seen a lot of people, like, have concepts of what Ren and Stimpy would be like in this future. Some good, some bad, but I think that like having a television movie / a revival movie of this duo would do justice for them, and it would be a nice swan song in my opinion. I personally think that Milo Murphy's Law is a little bit better than Phineas and Ferb in some aspects. And I think that in general that I would love to see a movie come out of Milo Murphy's Law. Kind of like what they did for Phineas and Ferb with Across the Second Dimension. And this one will be called Milo Murphy's Law on the Loose. And the plot will be like mostly about like after a whole week of misfortune, Milo decides to relax and go on vacation, but unfortunately, like, the pistachio people come back terrorizing them. Or an evil force. I'm still working on what the plot will be mostly about, but like, since Milo Murphy's Law is now getting more weird than Phineas and Ferb, I can really tell that almost like anything that was something weird and evil would go best for movie plots for this show. And I think it would be theatrical, because here's the thing that I noticed when it came to Disney's films, like animated films based on their cartoons, like with Recess School's Out, Doug's First Movie, and Teacher's Pet. Well, mostly on Teacher's Pet. It felt like Disney didn't do much marketing for that movie, and that's why, in my opinion, the film bombed. And I think that's why Disney should honestly give Milo Murphy's Law like a chance to be released in theaters, and this time with the right marketing. And I think that a plot like this would go well, and I would love to see like good music like notes or numbers coming from this movie. Clerks the Animated Series was a cartoon that just went and go. It was canceled by ABC after 2 episodes, well, because of low ratings. And the rest of the episodes were later aired on Comedy Central and soon on DVD and VHS. There was originally talks about an animated film based on a series called Clerks Selling Out, and it would have followed like Dante and Randall making a film about their lives working at Quick Start and RTS Video. That also didn't happen because technically the series is still owned by Disney, and the company had second thoughts of like, working with the Weinstein Company. And I always thought that a film like that would be a great idea. And I think in general, the universe of Clerks, or the Views universe, in some ways would be fascinating to me, and seeing it animated would be a huge blast for Kevin Smith especially, because from the animated series it was really crazy, and I had a feeling Kevin Smith knew that his show was gonna get canceled, so he just went whatever he just had. And I actually want to see this plot for an animated Clerks movie happen, and like tune up some things, like have it based on the animated series, and like having Leonardo doing what dastardly thing he's gonna do next, or whatever dastardly thing he's gonna do. And honestly, while we did get Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie, seeing the trailer, for me personally, I really didn't get invested, and I plus thought that the animation was cheaply bad, which I think that that's what they were trying to go with. But I honestly think that an animated film based on Clerks the Animated Series would do justice for an animated series that went and go. Or came, mostly. Before I end the video, I have 3 cartoons that I didn't put on the list, and here are my reasons. The first one being The Amazing World of Gumball. While having some thoughts of a Gumball movie, It was already somewhat announced in some ways. Like Ben Bockley said on his Twitter that he has ideas for 2 movies, one theatrical and one direct to video. And hearing that a script is being in the works, so took it off the list. Second is Steven Universe. Yes, Steven Universe. I thought of a movie for, and I thought, in my opinion, I want one. I wanted one based on Save the Light, the video game. But Cartoon Network announcing it this year's Comic Con, so I took it off the list because of that. And lastly, the Looney Tunes. And the reason why for the Looney Tunes was because I can tell that Warner Brothers is going to do something with the franchise, and hearing that they might make a cinematic universe out of the characters, because apparently every franchise or everything needs a goddamn cinematic universe. But anyways, yeah, so they're gonna do something with the Looney Tunes for theatrical films, and hopefully do it better compared to Space Jam and Looney Tunes Back in Action. So guys, hope you liked this video. Share and subscribe if you're new, and check out like some inspirations that I had for this video. Pie Guy Rules is like how would I make a SpongeBob TV movie, and Rebel Taxis, how Rugrats killed 2D Disney animation. And subscribe and click that notification button so you can get notified for any new videos that I do. And this is the Almighty DF signing out.